Hello, and welcome to Of the People. I'm Robert Chernin. Thank you so much for joining us today, yet again, for the safety of all. So masks are back. Vaccinations are right around the corner. They're already, as we talked about last show, in some colleges, and they're now being pushed in some cities. You have to understand where this is coming from. Most of you do, but the one thing you have to understand is the saying for the safety of all, because there's clearly studies out that we're going to talk about in this show that clearly say that masks don't work, and this small uptick in COVID and this new variant is really not worth all the hype that obviously the Democrats and the blue, what would you call them? The blue dogs? They're definitely dogs, but maybe they're blue. Who knows? I think they're a little further blue. In any event, for the safety of all is the rationale. If you remember going back to 2020, that was the rationale for we needed to mask up because for the safety of all. But the safety of all is a very slippery slope because where does it end and who defines it, right? Certainly there is no constitutional or legal grounds to require people to wear masks. And there's some people, I would be one of them, who think that masks have now become more of a religious garb than anything else. But for the safety of all, you should do this. And that slippery slope then extended to vaccinations, even though the vaccinations were untested, untried, and rushed to market. And we now see the results. And there are now studies, clinical studies, scientific studies, so we should trust the science, remember, that the vaccines don't really work. And even if you were vaccinated with the old vaccines, you now need the new vaccines. From there, where does it end? Because after, for the safety of all, they now have red flag gun laws. Right? You can't own a gun because you're not safe, right? We deem you to be dangerous. So we're protecting the community for the safety of all. I still remember being in a supermarket and I didn't have a mask on and it was required, but I'm one of those transgressors. And I was reprimanded by someone, you should wear a mask for the safety of all. I basically told them to, kiss my what, but we went from there. But understand where this goes because from safety of all, then you go to climate change. You can't eat meat for the safety of all. You can't use electricity for the safety of all. You can't use fossil fuels. There's the problem. So the next time you hear someone say for the safety of all, and even if it's unspoken, that's the rationale. Understand the canard. Understand what they're doing to you. We'll talk about it more in the show today, but joining us right now in the next episode after we come back from break is Jay the Republican with his Throw Up Thursday rant. You're not going to want to miss that one. Stay tuned, folks. We will be right back. Hello, and welcome back to Of the People. I am Robert Chernin with my lovely co-host,
Ericka Redic.
And joining us, one of the leading Republicans, Jay the Republican, who is a thought leader in the Republican Party. And Jay, welcome back to Of the People. And what are your thoughts this Thursday?
Jay. It's a pleasure to be back with both of you. I mean, this is Throw Up Thursday, so I have a couple of things that have
like
kind of made me sick this week.
It's like retching.
Well, we'll see
right.
if that makes you guys throw up as well.
All right, I got my
I'm
bucket
throwing up
ready.
some facts that are really bothering me. All right. They're talking about COVID again. And one of the things they're talking about are masks. And this has been an administration that has been ranting and raving about masks for quite some time. You're seeing it in New York City where they're requiring it. Some businesses now are requiring people to wear masks. Some districts in California are having their school districts wear masks. The only real mask that's going on in this country is this made-up COVID mask mandate that's coming to control us and to control what we're doing. What they're really doing is they're masking the problems that this administration has caused. They're masking the border, where people are coming across the border in record numbers. They aren't being tested. They aren't being processed. They're just coming in. They're masking that. They're masking the waste of money that we're spending in the Ukraine that they can't find anymore. So they're also talking about masking any information that's coming out of China and what they're doing to infiltrate the U.S. they're causing everything to be masked. But the biggest thing that really bothers me the most is that they're removing the mask from Lady Justice. The mask that once held over her eyes saying, law is blind, that we're looking the other way. We don't care who it is. You follow the law. They have two sets of rules. They're taking our ex-President Trump and his advisors and his staff, and they're forcing Lady Justice to remove her mask and say, if you're a Republican, you're bad. But if you're a Democrat, we're going to look the other way. I'm sick and tired of it. We need to leave the mask over the eyes of Lady Justice, and we need to leave the mask off our face going forward, because all they're doing is masking all their ills and all their ill-forgotten gains that this administration has done over the last 2 years. It's time to say no more mask. Be transparent about all the things you're doing wrong, and don't put masks on our kids or on us anywhere in this country. That's my rant.
Amen,
that's my throw up
Jay.
on Thursday.
That's a lot. So my question for you, just before we dive into this, is I thought it was Lady Justice was blindfolded. It's a mask or is it a blindfold?
Same.
It's the same thing. What they're doing is they're putting a mask over. They're taking the mask or the blindfold off her eyes because they want justice to be done for a political gain.
Well, and isn't that the definition
designed.
of a banana republic? Isn't that what they say when they talk about, when over the years, right, throughout history, as we've seen empires fall, countries fall, and they're called banana republics, isn't it because of that misalignment of justice, that there's, one kind of set of rules for thee and not for me?
You're absolutely right. And what makes this country great is that we've always had the rule of law, that justice was blind, that we allowed everyone to be judged on the merit of their cases rather than on any political agenda. If you look at the world, there's been a lot of democracies. There's been a lot of great nations that had great constitutions, and they have free and fair elections. But what they don't have is the blindness of the rule of law. And that's what makes this country great. When we violate that, we're really risking what this nation is made of and what it's for and how it protects the people of this country.
Jay, so I would say that's what separates America from any other country was the rule of law. Because when you think about it, beyond being a democracy, and the truth is we're not really a democracy, we're a constitutional republic, right? But if you want to radically change society, which is really, I think, what you're talking about, you're giving us, sort of this, they're going after the masking of truth and transparency and obviously unmasking Lady Justice so that she sees, I would argue, through the eye of racial, identity. We're doing identity justice. They talk about identity politics. It's really identity justice. Depending on your identity, depends on the level of justice you're now going to get in Biden's America. But if you want to radically transform society, doesn't it make sense to go after the laws? Because they're the last line of defense in a civilized society, and that would also explain why they go after those people who enforce the laws, i.e. law enforcement.
You're absolutely right. And the politicizing of the Department of Justice makes it a department of injustice. What they've done is they've mobilized FBI, other parts of the Department of Justice in a way that they look at who it is that they want to find guilty before they find a crime. So they're actually creating a crime to suit
it's
who they want to find guilty rather than
a problem a solution in search of
it's
a
pre-crime.
problem or whatever.
Wait a minute. It's a pre-crime. This is Minority Report. It's a pre-crime. We know you're going to commit a crime, so we're coming after you now, even though you didn't do anything. So
exactly, no different than thought crimes. I know what you're thinking, so you're guilty of something. Well, everybody's guilty of something. We can create guilt, but what we can't do is create justice. Justice is fair, and it's reasonable, and it needs to be enforced, and it needs to be recognized. And this Department of Justice is no longer doing that. And what they're doing is they're using it as political pawns, and what's even worse is that they're using it to hide the malfeasance of the guilty within this administration. Of course.
So let me ask you a question. You are a Republican thought leader, and the truth is you are. I respect that, and I know you are. Why aren't the Republicans more active on this front? Because one of the perceptions that we have, and Eric and I have talked about it a lot, is that there's not even left and right anymore. There's top versus bottom. If you're on the top, provided you're not Trump, right, or affiliated with Trump, if you're on the top, you have a certain amount of immunity, a la Hillary Clinton, a la Barack Obama, a la Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, from the law. If you're on the bottom or in the middle from the bottom, or the middle to the bottom, you don't. So why aren't the Republicans more active in trying to reestablish this blind justice rule of law? Because they're clearly not.
Question.
Well, I have a real issue with the comments that the Republicans, I hear all the time people will say, well, I don't like the Republicans in Washington. And I'll say to them, I don't understand who you're talking about. Are you talking about Jim Jordan, the head of the Freedom Caucus, or are we talking about Mitt Romney, who's a liberal Republican that's going out there? One of the big issues is that there's no uniformity within the Republican Party nationally. So what we've got is several different groups playing against each other. So really we don't have a single Republican Party. What we really have are several Republican parties. And they're very worried about where they are positioning going forward. And unfortunately, whether it's the Democrats or Republicans, so much of this is driven by money and donors who are suggesting solutions to things that might not work. And we had a hard time. You look at what happened to Speaker McCarthy when he ran. We are a divided party. So really within the Republican Party, you're looking at about 5 factions that are all going in different directions. So there's no unity of command. There's no one at the top that's able to say, look, we're going to get it done. This is how we're going to do it. We had that when Trump was president, even though there were fractures going on when that was happening, and it's gotten even worse since then. So to do a blanket statement that the Republicans aren't doing anything is a little unfair to the majority of Republicans who are doing something. And we're seeing right now about a third of the Republicans are active, a third are in the middle, and a third don't want anything.
Sorry, Robert.
No, that's okay.
I may be asking you to speculate here, but I am curious, given your insider position, where are people at with campaign finance reform? Because to me, a lot of this feels like if our elected officials were not so beholden to having to raise a bunch of money, depend on corporate welfare, if you will, and dependent on the opinions of corporations rather than their constituents, essentially. Like, is there an appetite for campaign finance reform? Have you heard anyone other than folks like me talking about it?
Folks like you? You mean people who wear orange?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, at least it's not a jumpsuit.
Yeah.
But if you keep speaking out, you never know, Ericka, whether you'll be wearing.
Wait a minute. If thoughts are criminalized, I'd be in jail a long time ago. And
my tough mug.
And I look good in orange.
I got to practice my tough mug shot like Donald Trump. How's this, guys?
Yes. Well, your question about taking money out of politics, I think the Citizens United verdict years ago really hurt our elections in this country because, there's so much dark money that's going on because of that and so many super PACs and all of that. But as far as any appetite to change, I think the appetite for change is right up there with term limits. Why would anyone who's in a position of power want to give that up and change what's going on already? So the only ones that will do that are the ones who want to make change going forward and change what's going on in Washington. And I think there's an old senator or congressman who ran on term limits, and after 20 years, someone said to him, you wanted term limits, but you're still there. Well, who's going to fight for term limits if I have term limits? So that when you hear voices, when you hear the voices out there saying we need to do something about campaign finance reform, and they're using it to raise money, I think you're seeing that there's
my argument is very simple. Trying to wean a politician off public money or funds is like trying to wean a drug addict off of crack cocaine. Never going to happen from the inside out. Never, never, never. The concept of a citizen politician or citizen legislator, other than in the great state of New Hampshire, as far as I know, is dead. So not happening. in any event, Jay, we thank you for joining us for Throw Up Thursdays. You didn't hear our monologue, and we didn't talk about it ahead of time, but we were talking about the same thing, so we're right with you.
One mind.
Keep driving that change in D.C. as one of the thought leaders in the Republican Party, because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of upper cognitive thought going on there right now.
Thank you for doing some second and third order evaluations of consequences. We need it.
I appreciate what the two of you are doing. I think the more voices we have out there, the more people will listen, the more people will be involved.
Amen.
We can make some
and it has to come from the outside in.
Thank you.
Folks, you've been listening to Of the People with Robert Chernin and Ericka Redic, and our special guest, Jay the Republican. We'll be right back after break. Stay tuned.